architecture of the TMS320C13, and here we will discuss the architecture of the TMS320C6713, which has already been discussed. We have discussed some concepts, but today we'll discuss here the other concepts related with this one. And here we will describe the different features of the TMS320 family, that is the processor of the Texas Instruments. And there are the three generations of the Texas Instruments family. The first one is the TMS320C 2000 series. In this family, there are the two types of the processor. One is the C24X, and the second one is the C28 family. And these processors are used for the control optimized purposes. And in the second generation, there is a family that is named as the TMS320C 5000 family series here, having the processors of the C54X and C55X DSP processors, along with some extended instructions and version of the OMAP, that is the C55X. It has the features of the ARM processors also, and these processors are used for the power efficient purposes. And the third generation is the TMS320C 6000, having the processors of the C62X and C67X, as well as the C64X DSPs are the digital signal processors, and these are used for the high performance purposes here. So among these three families or three series, we are just going to cover the third one today here, having the features of the TMS320C 6000. First, we will describe the processors here of the TMS320C TMS320 series, that is the Texas Instruments processors having the series of the TMS320. This family consists of the fixed point as well as the floating point and multi processor digital signal processors. And the second feature is that this family have a architecture designed specifically for the real-time signal processing. So the processors are either the fixed point processors or the floating point processor, and they will be suitable for they are designed specifically for the real-time digital signal processing purposes here. And the TMS320 family consists of the many generations and having the C1X, C2X, C2 double X family, C5X, and C54X fixed point DSPs, and the C3X and C4X, these are the floating point DSPs. See here the different categories of the digital signal processors having the different families. The C1X, C2X, C2 double X, C5X, and C54X fixed point DSP. These are the fixed point DSP processors, and the C3X and the C4X, these are the floating point digital signal processors. And the C8X is the multi-processor digital signal processor. So if you see, then we will find that this family consists the three type of the processor. One is the fixed point processor, the second one is the floating point, and third one is the multi-processor digital signal processor here. Now come to the next feature, and there is a next generation, that is the TMS320C 6000 series or the 6X generation here. Now we are coming to this generation here or this series here, that is the TMS320C 6X series here. In this one, the TMS320C 6000 digital signal processor platform is part of the same manufacturers, that is the TMS320 DSP family here, and it has the different generations of the fixed point devices like the TMS32062X DSP generation and TMS320C64X DSP processors are the DSP generation. generation. These are the fixed point devices, are the fixed point processors here. Floating point processor, if we come to the floating point processor, then we will come to the here the digital signal processor, that is the TMS320C 67X DSP generation. This is the floating point digital signal processor, and this is the family of the floating point DSP devices here. And all three use the here the Veloci TI architecture, and this is related to the high performance advanced VLU, that is the very long instruction word architecture here. And we have described here the three DSPs, that is the generation. The first one is the TMS320C62X DSP generation. The second one is the 320C64X DSP generation. These two are the fixed point devices. The third generation is the TMS320C67X DSP generation, and this is the floating point devices here. But the feature is that all these three have a feature of the very long instruction word architecture, that is the VLU architecture, and excellent choices for the multi-channel and the multi-function applications. They are suitable for the multi-channel and the multi-function applications here. Now, if we come to this category here, that is the Veloci TI, here the features or the architecture, then Veloci TI's advanced features include the instruction packing, that is the reduced code size, and it has the features of that gives code size equivalence for the 8 instructions. There will be 8 functional units, so the code size will be equivalent to 8 instructions here, and reduce the code size, program fetches, and power consumption. So speed will be faster and power consumption will be lower here. And the second feature has the conditional execution of all instructions, and it has the some features like the here the reduces cost here using the branching, and the second one is the it increases parallelism, and if parallelism is increased, naturally the performance will be increased here, having the higher speed here. Now the fully pipelined branches, and hence there will be zero overhead looping and the zero head branching here. Now some features of the here the 6.7 is that the advanced VLU CPU with 8 functional units, they have the 2 multipliers and the 6 arithmetic units. It has the 8 functional units as we have described in the previous class, that is there are the LSMD towards the left side and the right side, having the 2 here the paths, and total functional unit is the 8, and these have the 2 multipliers and the 6 arithmetic units, and so the total functional unit is the 8. It executes up to 8 32-bit instructions per cycle, 8 functional units, and so here the 8 instructions will be executed in one cycle, and what will be the word size of each one, that is the 32-bit. So, and it develops high effective RISC like code here. And the next one is the CPU consists of the 32 general purpose registers. In addition of above, it includes the 32 general purpose registers, and each have a word length of the 32-bit. These are the features which we are describing related to the 6.7 family here. And variable bit instructions, that is if there is variable bit instruction, naturally there is a flexibility of the data types, having the flexibility of the 8-bit, 16-bit, and the 32-bit data support here, and it provides the efficient memory support and efficient code execution on independent functional units. And here the industry's most efficient C compiler on the DSP benchmark, it is suited for it, and industry's first assembly optimizer for the fast development and the improved parallelization has the facility having the features of the 6.7 family here. Now the 40-bit arithmetic, is provided by the this family vocoders and the computationally intensive application for it, it is suitable for computationally intensive applications here. Saturations and normalization. It supports for the key arithmetic operations here, and field manipulation and the instruction extract. Here there are the features of the set clear and bit counting here. Now hardware support. It has the single precision and the double precision hardware support. Single precision, that is the 32-bit word length, and double precision 64-bit word length. IEEE floating point operations are supported by this feature here. This family 67X family here. 32 cross 32-bit integer multiply with 32 or 64-bit result will be executed with this family of the DSP processors here. 32 cross 32-bit integer multiply having the result of the 32-bit or the 64-bit. Now, if we come to the TMS 320C67, here the devices here, 6713 or 6712, etc. here, or the 6711. This device, this 6000 series devices comes with the program memory, varying size of the data memory, peripherals, direct memory SX, that is the DMA, and there is the extended facility. So sometimes it is named as the EDMA, and power down logic, and external memory interface EMIF, and serial ports as well as the host port, which we have described in the previous lecture, and we are again describing it in short in this lecture also here, that it has the these are the here the CPU, and CPU has the sections of the program phase, instruction dispatch, and the instruction decode here, having the two data path A and data path B. Data path A has the register file A and path B has register file B. 4 functional units in that register file A, that is data having the data path A, L1, S1, M1, and D1. Similarly, 4 functional units in the data path B having the register file B, D2, M2, S2, and L2 here. And for the controlling purposes, control register, control logic, test, emulation, and interrupts, and for power purposes, power down section is there. And there are the 2 level of the memory, one level 1 and the level 2 memory here, and these are the data cache level 1 memories, program memory, and this is the data cache program here data memory having the 32-bit address in both the cases. First one has the 256-bit data, and the second one has the here the 8 to 16 32, that is the variable width of the data. And in addition of this, there are the additional peripherals like the timers, serial ports, etc., and external memory interface, and the EDMA is the additional features of this one. Now, if we come to the central processing unit, which we have described in this one, this is the central processing unit having shown in the brown in color here. It has the different sections like the program phase unit, instruction dispatch unit, instruction decode unit, 2 data paths which we have described in the flowchart, and the 32-bit registers. There will be the 32 registers having the word length of the 32-bit, and control registers, control logic, test, emulation, and interrupt logic. Internal memory, that is the 32-bit byte addressable address space, and internal on-chip memory having the data and program spaces, off-chip memory, unified memory space, and the 2 32-bit internal ports to access the internal data, and a single internal port to access the internal program memory having the width of the 256 bits. Memory and the peripheral, this is a large on-chip RAM up to the 7 M byte bits here, and the program cache, 2 label caches are there, and 32-bit EMI support, SDRAM, SB, SRAM, SRAM, and the other asynchronous memories are there, and the DMA controller transfers data between the address range in the memory map, and the DMA controller has 4 programmable channels and a 5th auxiliary channel here. And EDMA controller have the 16 channels, 16 programmable channels here, RAM space to hold multiple configurations for the future transfers, HPI port, MCBSP for the multiplexing of the audio signals and from other peripherals, that is the multi-channel buffered serial port, standard synchronous serial port here. And there are the timers are the two having the 32-bit general purpose timers. Time event used for the time events, count events, general to generate the pulses, interrupt the CPU, and to send the synchronization events to the DMA as well as the EDMA controller. And power down logic allows reduced clocking to reduce power consumption here. Power down reduces the power consumption by using the reduced clock. Now CPU data paths, as we have described in the block diagram, there are the two data paths. The components of the data path are here the two general purpose register files A and B, 8 functional unit, that is the .L1, .L2, .S1, .S2, .M1, .M2, .D1 and .D2 to load from memory data paths. That is the LD1 and LD2, and the two stored to memory data paths, that is the ST1 and the ST2, and two data address paths DA1, DA2, two register files data cross paths, that is the 1X and the 2X. These are the components of the data paths which are included by two data paths here. Now see the architecture of the data path having register file A and the register file B. Now come to the second one, that is the and 8 functional unit, that is the .L1, .S1, .M1, .D1 and .D2, .M2, .S2 and .L2 here. And this is for the data path A and data path B. And come to the previous slide here, that is the having the two there are the two load from the memory data paths, that is the LD1 and the LD2. See here the LD1 and these are the LD1 and the LD2 here. And now come to the previous one here again, that is the two stored to memory, ST1 and the ST2. These are the ST1 and the ST2 here that are shown in the block diagram. And similarly, these are the two data address paths, DA1 and the DA2. That come to this one, that is the DA1 and the DA2, and that is data address 1, data address 2 here. And the previous slide, two register files, data cross paths, that is the 1X and the 2X. Here the two data cross paths, one is the 1X and the second one is the 2X. Here the 1X and the second one is the 2X. So these are the here the features that are described with the block diagram having the data path of the 6-7X family here. The functional units, the 8 functional units are divided into the two groups of the 4 each, that is the L1, S1, M1, D1 and the L2, D2, S2, D2, M2 here. Now the functional units and the operation performed by these different functional units. If we consider the .L unit here, then fixed point operations that are performed here, the 32 to 40 bit arithmetic and the compare operation, 32 bit logical operation, leftmost 1 or 0 counting for the 32 bits, normalization count for the 32 and the 40 bits. These are for the fixed point operations having the .L unit either for the L1 or for the L2. Similarly, for the floating point, which operations are performed, arithmetic operations, the DP to here the SP, double precision to single precision converter, integer to DP, double precision here, integer to single precision, and these are the conversion process. So it performs the arithmetic operations and the conversion operations here. Now the .S unit, either the S1 or the S2, these are the operations in the fixed point, 32-bit arithmetic operations, 32 to 40-bit shift and the 32-bit field operations, 32-bit logical operations, branches, and the constant generation, and the register transfer to and from control register is also done by only that S2. It has to be noted here that register transfer to and from control register is performed only by the dot S2 in fixed point here, and in the floating point the operations that are performed by the S1 and S2 are the comparison and reciprocal and the reciprocal square root operations, absolute value operations, and single precision to double precision conversion operation here. Dot M unit, either the M1 or the M2, 16 cross 16 multiply operations in the fixed point, and floating point 32 cross 32 bit fixed point multiply operations, floating point multiply operations are performed in this one here. Now the dot D unit, either the D1 and D2, 32 bit add, subtract, linear and circular address calculation, load and store with 5 bit constant offset, loads and stores with 15 bit constant offset, and it is done only by the dot D2 here functional unit, and load double word with the 5 bit constant offset is performed in the floating point here. Now, if we describe here the general purpose registers here, then there are the two general purpose registers files A and B in the data path. That is, the each of these file contains the 16 to 32 bit registers. And how many registers are there? There are A0 to A15 in register file A, that is the 16 register, and B0 to B15, and that is the 16 register in the data path B here, or the register file B. So there are the 32 registers, 16 in the register file A, 16 in the register file B, and they contain 16 to 32 bit. They contain the 32 bit register, and each file has the 16 registers. And the total number of the registers in register file A, register file B is the 32, and they have the word length of the 32 bit. The general purpose registers can be used for data address pointers, or condition registers. The 67X general purpose register files support data ranging in size from packed 16-bit data through 40-bit fixed point and 64-bit floating point data here. Values larger than 32 bits, such as 40 bit long and the 64-bit float quantities, are stored in the register pairs. In place of using one register, there will be a register pair because each has a capacity of the 32 bit. So in these, the 32 bit LSBs of the data are placed in an even numbered register, and the remaining 8 to 32 bit, 8 are the 32 bit MSBs in the next upper register, which is always an odd numbered register. So the LSBs, 32 bit LSBs, will be stored in even numbered register, and remaining 8 are the 32 bit will be stored in the MSBs, and naturally they will be the odd number registers. Now the general purpose registers, there are the 16 valid register pairs for the 40 bit and the 64 bit. For A register, A0 A1 pair, B B0 B1. Similarly, A2 A3, B2 B3, A4 A5, B4 B5, A6 A7, B6 B7, A8 A9, here the B8 B9, and A10 A11, and these are the B10 B11, A12 A13, and B12 B13, A14 A15. Similarly, there is B14 and the B15, and these are the described for this family, that is the 62 family, 64 and the 67. They are applicable for each devices here. In assembly languages syntax, a colon between the register names denotes the register pairs, and the odd numbered register is specified first. So here if we see any pair here, then the odd number will be specified first, and then there the column represents the pair here, and then the even number register here. General purpose register file, that is register is storage scheme for the 40 bit long data. How the 40 bit will be stored here? Now see the storage of the 40 bit, that is the here the odd register 0 field, then 0 to 40 bit, that is the even register here, and see here the operations requiring a long input, ignore the 24 MSBs for the odd numbered registers, because there are the two options, either the 8 bit or the 24 bit. So for the operations requiring the long input, the ignore the 24 MSBs of the odd numbered registers. Operations producing a long result, zero fill the 24 MSBs of the odd number register, and the even number register is encoded in the opcode. Register file cross paths, as we have described, there are the two register cross paths, 1x and 2x, and they are the register file cross paths. They allow access of operands and the functional units of the opposite data paths here. Memory load store paths, the two 32-bit paths for loading data from memory to the register, as we have described in the block diagram, that is the LD1 and the LD2. LD1 have the two section LSB and the MSB, and similarly LD2 has the two section LSB and the MSB. And the first one, LD1, is for register file A and LD2 is for register file B. LDDW instruction simultaneously load 32-bit values into register file A and 32-bit values into register file B. When we use this instruction, that is the LDDW, then it simultaneously loads the 32-bit value in the register file A and at the same time 32-bit value in the register file B here. Two 32-bit paths for storing data memory, which we have described in the block diagram, that is the ST1 and ST2. ST1 is for the register file A and ST2 is for the register file B here. And data address paths, again there are the two data address paths that are connected to the .e units in both the data paths, DA1 and DA2 resources, and their associated data paths are specified as the T1 and T2 respectively here. So if we come to the previous slide and if we see here the register file, whatever we have described here, then we find that there are the 8 functional unit, LD1, LD2, and ST1, ST2, and DA1, DA2, and the 1x, 2x. These are the here the different features of the data path A and the data path B, which we have described in this lecture here. In the previous lecture, we have described the features of the TMS320C6713, and today we have described here the different architecture having the different registers, data paths, and their connection, along with the some functional features of the 32-bit general purpose registers here. Okay, so I think this is about the today's lecture here, and we have described here the features of the TMS320C6713. And if you will have any doubt or confusion, then we can discuss it. Yeah, please.